Hey guys, and welcome to Collider Movie Talk for movie fans. I'm your host, Natasha Martinez, and this is the daily show where we give you all the latest news in the world of movies, plus some insight into what it all means. Kicking off our show today is John Campea.
Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the best damn movie-related show on the planet Earth, coming to you from right here at the Collider Video Studios here in Burbank, California, and we are so glad you decided to make us part of your day.
Also joining us, Mark Ellis.
And look at this shirt I got. I really feel comfortable wearing this shirt. And yeah, I'm going against the Outlaw tomorrow, but I figured I'd wear this today because I like the guy, and this is probably the last day anybody's going to want to buy this t-shirt, so get it while it's hot.
Also joining us, Kristian Harloff.
That's true. I just got this one. I like that one. The old school WWE style.
I like that shirt a lot.
And rounding off our panel, Dennis Tzeng.
Yeah, I feel weird being here on a Thursday. I'm usually here on Fridays and then sometimes on Mondays, so I'm filling in for the big old schnapp.
And by the way, happy birthday, I guess, to Sam Witwer, whatever his name is.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, all right, let's go on to our real, actually important stuff to talk about today.
Okay, 20th Century Fox has released the first Logan trailer. The film, inspired by Mark Millar's Old Man Logan comic, sees Hugh Jackman reprise his role as Logan, a.k.a. Wolverine, one last time. While details on the plot are still scarce, we know that Boyd Holbrook plays the villainous leader of the Reavers, Pierce, with previous images teasing a desolate setting where the main question seems to be, where are all the mutants? Logan hits theaters on March 3rd, 2017. John, what did you think about the first trailer for Logan?
This is the best trailer of the year. It's the best trailer of the year.
Whoa!
I loved this. Was so unexpected. It was not what I thought it was going to be. It's so out of tone for where I thought they were going. It surprised me. It enthralled me. And now I know why in 2002 Johnny Cash had a vision of the future. He saw a old man-esque Logan comic series. He could see it in a vision. And he sat down with his guitar and said, I'm going to remake this Hurt song. Because it's going...
Nine Inch Nails, yeah.
John Nine Nails, the original song. He said, I'm going to remake this Hurt. And specifically because of this vision. This trailer was why the great Johnny Cash was born.
That's it.
This trailer, I mean... I don't know the last time. There have been much better, yes, but I can't remember the last time a piece of music has fit so indescribably perfectly with the tone, feel, and pacing of a trailer, like the way this piece of music matches with this trailer. I adored it. I loved the weariness in Hugh Jackman's face, in Patrick Stewart's voice. That opening line, Logan, what did you do? Like that line sets the whole feel of everything I think the movie's going to be. Look, the movie may be trash. We say this all the time, but I cannot remember the last time. You know, I loved the Guardians trailer yesterday. I can't remember the last time I literally sat this morning for about an hour just replay, taking it all in and soaking in this trailer. It had nuance, it had subtlety, yet incredible energy at times at the same time. Like I said, I just love that it's something so different from what we've ever seen in the X-Men universe before. I can never see this movie and I'll be fine because I saw this trailer. And it just, I feel so satisfied. I just loved it. Anyway, Dennis, you had a chance to check. You guys actually did a reaction video.
Perry and I did.
You and Perry did a reaction video.
Yeah.
So that's going to be up on Collider Video a little bit later. But Dennis, you had a chance to see the trailer. What did you think about it?
Yeah, I loved it as well. And the reason also I was surprised was because this is the movie that I had wanted when they initially talked about making a movie that was similar to Old Man Logan. But they had sent out a lot of these on-set pictures that kind of showed more of a dystopian future rather than a post-apocalyptic one. And then, yeah, I originally was going to do a trailer review and reaction with Kristian for Logan, but you ended up doing it with Perry. So my first hearing it, I actually heard the trailer before I actually saw it.
Right.
And as soon as I heard that song, I was like, okay, this is not going to be that dystopian. It's not going to be kind of what we normally see from X-Men movies. And then after you guys were done, I actually watched it. And I said, yes, this is the movie I wanted initially, because I was thrown off by all those pictures. He's like a limo driver in some of those pictures, and they're in like this big party event. And so I just thought, okay, this is not what Old Man Logan was. And then seeing this trailer, the tone of it, the look of it, feels much like a post-apocalyptic world as opposed to what I thought it was. So everything about this trailer was yeah, I loved it as well.
Kristian, what did you think?
Oh, it's gorgeous. I mean, it reminded me of Hell or High Water, to be honest with you. A lot of
Yeah.
it, like the filming technique. And I'll tell you, if you didn't, up until the point where the claws pop out, you could be fooled that it's not a superhero film because that's not the focus of it. The focus is that it's a character piece. And if this is Hugh Jackman's last movie, what a great last movie for a run at Logan. I like the idea of the questions that it asks now. It's like, why are all... He says that the mutants are pretty much gone. Why is that? Why does he come in contact with this girl? Why is Professor... I mean, Professor X probably old age, obviously, getting to him, but like, what has happened? I want to know all these things. And it's such a different direction for... We know that Marvel Studios has been doing this thing with the different tones. Fox is pretty much, when they put out the X-Men movie, a lot of them feel in the same kind of vein. This feels completely different. It feels like a completely new movie. And I loved everything I saw, and I really liked the exploration. It's where you have to go so far away from what we got with that Gavin Hood movie back in whenever it was.
It's a little different.
So different in this feel. So I loved everything I saw.
You know, you mentioned in their Hell or High Water, that's one of the things I got. You know, Mark, I watched this. I felt a little sense of Hell or High Water. I felt the flavor of Old Man Logan. I felt the flavor of No Country for Old Men. I felt the flavor of, there's a video game series out there called The Last of Us. I felt a little bit of that. I felt a lot of really cool influences. What did you think about the trailer? What kind of influences did you see in it?
Well, I mean, as far as trailers go, enjoy your silver medal, 50 Shades Darker, because you lost today, and you lost bad. I'm not ready to declare it as my favorite trailer of the year, but as far as my favorite short film, this definitely takes the cake, because that's what this thing was. I almost felt like there was like a beginning, middle, and end without giving away too much of the story. Even though we got to see Pierce, we got to see the Reavers, and we saw what looks like a very interesting, almost father-daughter relationship, and then a father-son relationship between Professor X and Logan himself. We got to see all that, and I feel like the trailer showed us very little of what's going to happen in this movie. It was a perfectly done, tiny little movie. That's why I love trailers, is because I do look at them as 90-second pieces of art. This one definitely takes that cake. Rogue One still gets me more excited because it's Star Wars and it's built in, and I love that stuff already. But other than that, I got to give this, even over the Guardians of the Galaxy trailer yesterday, which was another great marriage of music and seeing stuff on screen, this might have been even better.
You know, there's a really beautiful moment in this trailer that, because you have this intensity, you have this sorrow, you have pain in it, but right in the middle of the trailer, if you remember, there's this short 2-second scene. It's Logan, it's who we are assuming is X-23 at this point, and it's the professor sitting around a dinner table, I think, smiling and laughing. Like, right in the midst of all that pain, in the midst of this trailer, there was this little oasis of momentary happiness, but there was a sadness that came because as you're watching that happen, you know that happiness, it's momentary. This happiness is not going to last long. Now, there was also an international red band version of the trailer that released. When I saw that, I thought, oh, this is going to be like a different version. It is actually the exact same trailer with one extra shot in it. It's only about 2 seconds, and you saw in the image that we brought up here, it's this image here of Logan popping out the claws and driving the claws through the head. I think that shot is awesome, and I think it's going to play awesome in the movie, and it's kind of a reminder of everybody, by the way, in case you forgot, this Logan's going to be rated R, but I got to admit, while it's going to be awesome in the movie, I felt like it was out of place in the trailer, because I saw the green band trailer first, and when this scene kind of came up in the red band one, I was like, it jarred me a little bit. Like it didn't quite sit well with me. Did you guys prefer the red band trailer, or did you feel the same thing I did? What did you guys say?
I thought either one was sweet. It didn't like take me out of the movie. As a matter of fact, when I saw that, it reminded me that this was indeed rated R. So I loved either version.
I think what the purpose was to let everybody know. Yeah, we're giving you a brand new tone here, but also remember this is going to be a rated R.
It's nice
movie.
to have a red band trailer, right?
Yeah.
Because now they know it's rated R.
Yeah, I kind of wish they had more scenes, though. I mean, just having that one tiny little scene showing that it was rated R. So it didn't bother me. I just felt like if they were going to have a different version that was a red band, you expect a little bit more.
And March, guys, March.
Yeah,
Early March.
That's not that far.
Now, Natasha, you had a chance to watch the trailer. What did you think?
All I have to say is, shing, claws through the head. That was my favorite part, guys. Like, I absolutely agree with you with the music. I thought it was perfect. Like, it could have been a music video for Johnny Cash's Hurt. But like the whole time, you know, I'm watching it, I'm invested in it, but the claws through the head is what really got me excited. I was just like, yeah, get him. So I loved it. I thought it was awesome.
Now, the disembodied voice of God, head of Wendy, because she's not on camera right now. But Wendy, you saw what was your impression of the trailer?
I thought it was emotional and different and not at all what I expected. I love that there was very little dialogue and a lot of the song. Really looking forward to it. And like Natasha said, it's the best part of the trailer with the claw going through the head. He felt it.
I mean, it's going to be like from the funeral. Whose funeral was it that we saw there? And you nailed it. It's a great trailer because it raises more questions than it answers. Like, okay, why is Professor X in that bed?
Right.
What's that all about? How are they going to unveil and reveal who this girl is? Whose funeral was that? Why is Logan on the run? Why is he not healing the way he used to heal? Like, where have the mutants gone? So many great questions, yet I cannot believe how happy I am about this trailer.
Does this trailer make the Johnny Cash version of that song better for you? Because I still think the Nine Inch Nails version is the best one.
I'm not going to lie. I jumped on iTunes after I watched the trailer and I bought the song.
Wow.
Like, just because I wanted it on my phone. I mean, so it's,
I like the Johnny Cash version better. I like the Trent Reznor version, but even Trent Reznor said, he's like, oh, this is now Johnny Cash's song.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. You know what? We were talking actually before the show started that this is one of those rare remakes, whether it's in music or movies, where I think historically people are going to look at that song and they're just going to think Johnny Cash.
Well, that's Johnny Cash and John. If he would have taken over Rubber Ducky by Ernie, it still would have been a hit.
Rubber Ducky, you're the one.
All right.
You make bath time fun.
Then
Let's
I
go get a
shot the
sandwich.
ducky. All right, what's next?
Okay, though Star Wars The Force Awakens was shrouded in secrecy throughout production, we do know that the film underwent reshoots. And as it turns out, one of those reshoots actually came from some notes from Selma filmmaker Ava DuVernay. As revealed in the snippet of J.J. Abrams' commentary that will be a part of the collector's edition Blu-ray release, Abrams mentioned that DuVernay saw a rough edit of the film suggesting Rey needed one really cool moment before the tables turn and she defeats Kylo Ren in the lightsaber duel on Starkiller Base. And in an interview with Collider about her Netflix documentary 13th, DuVernay revealed that she and Abrams turned to each other for notes and advice on their projects. Kristian, thoughts on Ava DuVernay consulting on The Force Awakens?
Great that she was consulting on it, and I love the fact that her and JJ are friends, and I love that you have those type of talents discussing your projects. But I go away from all that and I say she's been talking with Disney. Remember, she was up for Black Panther at one point. I'm going to predict that she's going to be doing a Star Wars spin-off movie. I think that the fact that she is inside of this, already talking to Disney about certain projects like this. She hasn't had that big franchise yet. She's already been involved with Star Wars now, we're finding out, at some way or another. And J.J. Abrams happens to have an in with Star Wars. So I think that Ava DuVernay is going to be doing a Star Wars movie. Now, when that is or what that is, I don't know. But I think down the line we're going to hear that she's going to be doing a movie.
Dennis?
Yeah, it's also cool to hear that they're friends and they're passing notes to each other. I don't know how much J.J. Abrams passed notes about the Selma movie to her.
Right.
Also, they were in that commentary sequence. J.J.'s talking about the scene that they reshot. I don't know if that's the scene that he got notes from Ava DuVernay, but that one scene was a shot of Rey like kind of having like an intense face, and I don't know if that plays into kind of what was in the book where they talked about Snoke telling Rey to kill Kylo Ren, and if that is foreshadowing towards temptation to the dark side for her.
Mark?
I think it's great. I mean, it shows what Lucasfilm is doing right now is that it's a collective of ideas, and whether that's J.J. Abrams consulting with his friends or it's a bunch of really smart, creative people sitting around in a room and agreeing on what the best direction for a scene is, for a story, for a movie is. I think as far as a Star Wars movie that is directed by Ava, I think that's in her hands now. I think she can make the decision. It's going to be interesting to see what her experience on A Wrinkle in Time is, because that is a big franchise.
Sure.
Could potentially be one. So if she enjoys working on that with Disney, then you can definitely see other ones down the road, or you wonder if she's going to get turned off to a bigger franchise and would want to stick to smaller movies. But she's somebody that I would love to have do a standalone Star Wars movie. I think she's perfect.
It does raise a question for me if that's where the connection came from. If this relationship that she has with JJ, to the point that they're comparing notes, they're seeking out each other's advice, if that's what got her into the potential role as the director on Black Panther in the first place with the people.
Right.
And then ultimately, unfortunately, she turned it down because they couldn't creatively come to the same vision. She turned the job down. But I don't know if we'll see her direct a Star Wars film, but I do think you're onto something that I don't think we're done seeing Ava DuVernay doing something with Disney, whether it's under their Marvel branch, their Star Wars branch, their Pixar branch, something.
Well, she's invested in Star Wars though now. I mean, she's invested with these things, and you mentioned this stuff about Snoke real quick. A lot of that stuff, all of it, even these deleted scenes that they have, all in the novel. So that novel that was written by Alan Dean Foster was taken from the script that J.J. Abrams took over from Michael Arndt. So all that stuff that you're hearing now, it's all in the novel, and it is official canon.
It's true.
It's all of it. It's true. All right, guys. Well, it is Thursday, which means it's time for us to talk about what is opening this week. We talked about a couple of the films opening this week on Tuesday, but we got 2 more to cover today. So, Natasha, what do we got?
Okay, we have Ouija, Origin of Evil. In 1965, Los Angeles, a widowed mother and her 2 daughters add a new stunt to bolster their seance scam business and unwittingly invite authentic evil into their home. When the youngest daughter is overtaken by the merciless spirit, this small family confronts unthinkable fears to save her and send her possessor back to the other side. We also have Boo, a Medea Halloween coming out. Medea, played by Tyler Perry, winds up in the middle of mayhem when she spends a hilarious haunted Halloween fending off killers, paranormal poltergeists, ghosts, ghouls, and zombies while keeping a watchful eye on a group of misbehaving teens.
Well, Mark, I think you're the only one of us who saw Ouija, Origin of Evil.
I braved it.
What did you think about it?
I went to go see Origin of Evil, the new Ouija movie, and I was enjoying it for a long time. I really didn't like some of the things that would happen in the third act, but it's not for me to say because when you go on Rotten Tomatoes right now, people seem to be going crazy about this movie. Critics are in love with Ouija, Origin of Evil, and after watching it, I will say that as much as I did enjoy the first one too, and I thought I got some good scares out of it, this should have been the first Ouija movie that came out. It is the Origin of Evil. You get to see how this family brought this board into their house where there was already some creepy stuff going on, some mystical things going on. You get a kid around a Ouija board, bad things happen. If you're a horror fan, there's a lot of good scares in this movie for you.
Are you looking forward to either of these films?
No, I'm not. I think that I've heard that Ouija's was better than the first one, and that's not very hard to do. The first,
it's holding at 85% right now on Rotten Tomatoes.
That's what I'm hearing.
Yeah.
And the first movie to me was my #1 worst movie of the year. I thought it was an absolute
terrible
train wreck of just horrible thoughts and everything else. But from what I'm hearing from other people, it starts off okay. Maybe the ending's not the best, but we'll see.
Dennis?
Yeah, I'm surprised that it has such a high score. Just because hearing from Mark and hearing from Perry, they didn't think it was that great, and at one point it was like 90% on Rotten Tomatoes. I know it's only like 30 reviews, but even still, that was a surprise to me. And
especially considering that the critics did not like the first one.
No. So they had promised that they were retooling the franchise. Apparently, it worked at least for most of the critics that saw it. And then Medea, I just never had any interest in these movies at all. They cost. I'm sure they don't cost that much, and they make about 50 to 60 million when they come out. So that's why I think they're now learning that they shouldn't put out one every year or every other year, and to kind of space them out so that people don't get as sick of them.
And hey, look, when I was a kid, I wasn't complaining about Ernest movies coming out every year. So if you like the Medea movies, have at it. Enjoy your Halloween. If you want a good scare, I think Ouija is not if there isn't a better horror movie on the horizon, because Rings moved off the Halloween date. So this might be the one worthwhile checking out if you like good scares around Halloween.
All right, guys, we reached that part of the show now for buy or sell. Here's how this works. In front of her, Natasha's got a few other items in the world of movie news. She's going to run them down. Then those of us at the table are simply going to say whether we buy it or sell it. So, Natasha, what do we got?
Deadpool 2 still doesn't have a firm release date yet, but director Tim Millar and the film's producers are now looking towards casting a key female role. Sources close to the production exclusively tell Collider that testing has begun for the character of Domino, and the actresses under consideration include Lizzie Kaplan, Mary Elizabeth Winstead, Sienna Miller, Sophia Boutella, Stephanie Sigmund, and Sylvia Hoeks, with 4 more names added later in the day that include Mackenzie Davis, Ruby Rose, Eve Hewson, and Kelly Rohrbach. All the actresses are said to be in various stages of testing for the part. Ellis, buy or sell the actresses testing for the role of Domino in Deadpool 2?
Oh, it's a huge buy for me. It's an even bigger buy. When I went to Google Domino, Domino's came up on my search.
I assume pizza's on the way?
I enjoy their pizza quite frequently. But yeah, I'm a fan of all of these actresses. When I read the name Lizzie Kaplan, I was like, yeah, she'd be great. And then you hear like somebody like Sophia Boutella, I was like, no, she'd be great. Mary Elizabeth Winstead would be my winner. I'm such a fan of her work. I think she's shown the most diversity out of any of these actresses. So she's the one that I would pick. I don't think you can go wrong with any of the names I heard, though.
My favorite actress on this list is Lizzie Kaplan. She's my favorite. I just love watching her in anything. I don't care if it's Hot Tub Time Machine. I don't care if it's New Girl. I just love when she's on screen. She's got so much charm and charisma. And look, it's hard to go against Sofia Boutella when you've seen her turn in. Look, what she just did in Star Trek was wonderful. But I have to agree with you, Mary Elizabeth Winstead. She's my pick. I just see her fitting in that role. I used to love reading Cable and Domino together. Right. And for some reason, I just see her, what she's done, the type of persona she carries on screen. I think she'd be a great fit for Domino, so she's my pick. What about you?
Mary Winstead, for me, is someone that is on the top. I do like Lizzie Kaplan. I don't want to see her in this movie. I also think what really turned me off was Now You See Me Too. I think that if she was, it didn't work, and I think it's a different character, obviously, for sure. But I'm going with Sofia Boutella as my number one because both of those movies, this was someone who was just primarily known for dancing, hits Kingsman, and was one of the standout in Kingsman, and one of the standouts in Star Trek. She's 2 for 2 for the big roles, and I think to see her going toe for toe with Deadpool would be great. I think she's someone that she's still, so is Winstead, but I think she's someone that you don't necessarily say, oh, well, that's that girl from this. She just becomes a character. You just see her as the character and not trying to place her from other movies yet. So I would like to see Sofia Boutella. She also can pull off we've seen that she pulls off the action. She is one of our top female action stars right now. Give her the shot and let her do it. She's my choice.
I like Mackenzie Davis. I like what she did in The Martian. I mean, the whole list is great. The one that kind of surprised me a little was the Eve Hewson from The Knick. She's actually Bono's daughter. She plays one of the nurses, and I think she's really good in it, but I just don't see her in this role. And I actually think that, despite who they pick for this, I think one of the main things is a chemistry between who they pick for Domino and who they pick for Cable, and they haven't announced who they have for Cable yet. So even though you get someone great for this role, it may or may not work depending on who they get.
All right, what's next?
The Mary Poppins Returns cast continues to expand as Variety reports that Academy Award winner Colin Firth will join the production playing the part of William Weatherall Wilkins, who in the film is president of the bank, which was originally featured in the original Mary Poppins movie. Mary Poppins Returns features Emily Blunt, Lin-Manuel Miranda, Meryl Streep, Ben Whishaw, and Emily Mortimer. It's set to hit the big screen on December 25th, 2018. John, buy or sell the addition of Colin Firth in Mary Poppins Returns?
You know what? First of all, you have to buy anything this Academy Award winning actor is going to do. That's great, but I have gone from skepticism when I first heard about this Mary Poppins movie to now legit excitement. I'm now really excited to see what they're going to do. When you look at the talent both behind and in front of the camera that they're adding to this, putting a cherry on top like Colin Firth, who I just think is one of the best in the business right now, huge buy for me.
Yeah, I mean, as somebody who's just not excited about Mary Poppins at all, like, you throw this cast at me, and I can't help but get a little excited to see a return to the Mary Poppins universe, which I do not give two flips about, but I will buy the fact that Colin Firth is in it, and hearing this is like Ocean's 11 all of a sudden. This is a great cast. Makes sense because Mary Poppins is a big name brand. I don't mind them going back to it. I don't care. This makes me care a little bit more, but not really.
Kristian?
I buy it, but I sell that he wasn't cast even before Mary Poppins was. I mean, he's perfect for this movie. I absolutely buy it. I am excited for it. I think it is. There are certain movies that you go, I don't know, and I understand the argument for, say, Willy Wonka yesterday.
Oh,
I know. But this is a movie, I think, especially with Emily Blunt and now with Colin Firth in it. Yeah, this is a great cast, and it's smart. So I buy it.
Dennis?
Yeah, I'm buying it as well, and I'm with Kristian. When I heard his name announced, I was like, oh, he wasn't already part of it.
Right.
Yeah, that's a big thing. And then the character he's going to play. Is he going to play a villain in the banker, or is he going to play a love interest in the movie? That's what I'm wondering.
I don't know. Are they actually recasting the Dick Van Dyke role, or are they changing what that role was? Are we not going to get a chimney sweep? I know that Colin Firth is playing a banker, so he's not going to play the Dick Van Dyke role. So I don't know if he's going to be a mean baddie, or if it would be kind of cool to see him play like a
villain.
dick.
Yeah,
I'd like to see Colin Firth play
Maybe
a dick.
This version of Mary Poppins is that babysitter we all had. She just invites her boyfriends over, and it's just like, oh, you kids go upstairs. I got some stuff to do.
All right, what's next?
Don't taint Mary Poppins' name, Ellis. Okay, when Community creator Dan Harmon was enlisted by Marvel to work on the script for Doctor Strange, it was likely because he was going to infuse the Sorcerer Supreme with a bit of humor. Marvel Studios' Kevin Feige recently spoke to EW about his involvement, confirming the writer was indeed brought on to bring a comedic edge to the film. It is true that he came in, he watched the movie. We are all big fans of his work, clearly. We at Marvel Studios are fans of Community. It's where we found Joe and Anthony Russo, who came on board to do Winter Soldier, and of course Civil War, and the upcoming Avengers film. So we're big fans of that. We're also fans of his cartoon, Rick and Morty, which is about, of course, humor, but I would argue that any given episode of that show has an unbelievably amazing sci-fi concept that could be its own movie. So really, we just wanted him to watch the movie and talk to us about it and give us his opinions on the sci-fi concepts. That was as important to us as any humor that he could add to the movie, and he was very, very gracious in doing that. Ellis, buy or sell the additions of humor to Doctor Strange by Dan Harmon?
I'll buy it. It does make me a little nervous, not because Dan Harmon isn't talented. I actually like that they go to somebody who's primarily known for humor, not just to inject comedy into a movie, but to get his overall take. I think that's really smart movie making, but I'm just a little apprehensive as to how much comedy we're going to get in Doctor Strange. That's been a lot of the tone from the recent marketing material we've seen, is there's been jokes in the trailers, in the TV ads, which is great, but I was excited about Doctor Strange as a departure from Marvel, staying in the universe, but maybe not having the quips. And it looks like from the advertising I've seen, maybe Dan Harmon was brought in to make sure that it does fit the par of Marvel as far as humor goes too. I don't necessarily need that in Doctor Strange, but I'm still very excited about this movie.
I think it was important for them to punch in some humor too, because Doctor Strange is a property that it's very well documented that, you know, not a lot of people outside of comic fans know much about Doctor Strange. It looks real trippy, which is what they were going for. So it looks really trippy, but that won't always connect with a lot of people, especially people who don't understand much about the character. I think it was important from even just a marketing point of view to make it more relatable in a sense that they punch in some humor. You know, we have a new series here on Collider Video called Collider Crash Course. Our most recent one was the one that you narrated, the Mace Windu is not Snoke video.
Right.
And we have kind of a similar process around here. We have a script that gets written by a couple people. Perry is one of the main script writers for that. They write the script. Then once that script is written, we sit down and we bring in our own Dan Harmon. We bring in Mark Ellis. Or we'll bring in, you know, some other people to come and sit around a table. Josh McGill will sit around a table. We'll look at the script and then we'll just look at ways to punch it up a little bit. And the end result is that we end up with a much better script overall. And I see that's what they're doing here. And I think what I've seen in the trailers so far, their uses of humor have been effective. And I hope it doesn't become dominant in the movie. I'm like you that way.
And that's what I'm talking about, is that it's dominant in the ads for it. So it might not be dominant in the movie, but it just makes me a little nervous how hard they're leaning on humor to sell us on Doctor Strange.
I agree. Dennis, you actually saw the movie last night. I get to see it tonight, but you saw it last night.
Yeah, I saw the movie last night, so I can't say too much about it because
still under embargo.
The embargo doesn't lift until Saturday at midnight, but we'll have a non-spoilers review, and then we'll also have a spoilers review for Doctor Strange.
Is it a barrel laughs?
All I can say is there was more humor than I expected in the film. And
funnier than Sausage Party.
I can't say, but definitely Dan Harmon's influence. You can feel it in the movie.
What do you think about these statements?
I buy it because, look, for me, if this was 3 or 4 years ago, I would probably sell it, because when I heard that Peyton Reed was being brought on and Adam McKay was being brought on and Paul Rudd for Ant-Man, I'm like, what are we doing here? And then the fact that they got the guys from the Community to do Winter Soldier, and look how that turned out. All those movies turned out well because it's the peppering in, and also peppering in through the trailer, the thing that we saw so far with the internet comments and things that are happening inside the movie. As long as it's not Thor 2 or Thor 1, for me, I couldn't stand the humor in Thor 1. Kat Dennings, I thought.
I love the humor in Thor 1. I loved it.
That to me is obnoxious humor. And that to me is like, what are we trying to do? Are we making a sci-fi fantasy movie here with elements comedy, or are we making a full-out spoof? Because she was unrealistic to me. That I don't want to see. And I don't think that that's what this guy's going to bring in. I think this guy's going to bring in elements of the comedy that I liked in Ant-Man and other things.
Here's what's interesting is that Marvel doesn't really need to course correct as far as advertising movies because their movies make so much money. But I'm just reading comments that James Mangold had said about why the tone of the new Logan trailer and using Johnny Cash's song in there. It's because they wanted to separate that trailer from other superhero movies. So even if this one feels a lot like other X-Men movies, they wanted to make it different. It seems like Doctor Strange are using humor to make it feel more like the same.
Yeah,
Right.
I feel like they're doing that so the mainstream audience who doesn't know who Doctor Strange is will actually be entertained by the stuff maybe they don't get.
Agreed. All right, what's next?
Vin Diesel believes Fast 8 director F. Gary Gray will finally get what he deserves with his upcoming movie in the Fast and Furious franchise after his Oscar snub for Straight Outta Compton. In an interview with Entertainment Tonight, Diesel said, "As bizarre as that might be, he's definitely going to get his comeuppance. He should have really been acknowledged for Straight Outta Compton. I think he went into making this movie with a little bit of a chip on his shoulder, going, oh, really? Okay. Now I'm going to take the biggest saga in the world and I'm about to throw Oscars at you. Wait till you see what he does." Kristian, buy or sell Fast 8's Oscar chances based on Diesel's comments?
I mean, come on. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and sell this as fast as I can. Not that I don't want to see the
Would you
movie.
say you'd sell it as fast as quarter mile
Ooh,
at the time?
I think it's a movie that is going to be fun. I'm excited about it. I love that they got F. Gary Gray to direct this movie, and I'm excited to see Vin Diesel and him reteam once again, to see his vision of this movie. If it was an Oscar contender, no one's going to vote for it because there's no way and I'm just talking about the fact, do I ever think it's going to be to qualify for it? No. Do I think it's going to be good enough to qualify for it? No. But even if it was, you're never going to see the Oscar committee say, yep, the Fast and Furious decides to get it. That's who we're voting for this year. We still don't understand performance capture, but I'll tell you what, that Fast and Furious, that's the one that made me cry. Not going to happen.
John, I am sick of this old school thinking ruining the Oscars. This is why Fast 8 deserves it. I haven't even seen the movie and it deserves the trophy. I'm done with period pieces and kings and queens and Meryl Streeps and Colin Firth of the world. Vin Diesel deserves an Oscar. F. Gary Gray deserves an Oscar for directing this thing. The Cars deserve an Oscar. Give Vin Diesel's Car a Best Supporting Actor nominee. I think it gets all of them.
I ain't got friends. I got family. Oscar! I can't look. Come on. I don't even buy that Vin believes what's coming
Did
out
they
of his
recast
mouth.
him with Daniel Day-Lewis? I
hated the first 3 Fast and Furious movies. Flat out hated them. I despised the first one because it was nothing but a Point Break, complete shot-by-shot ripoff. I thought 2 sucked. I thought 3 sucked. And all of a sudden I saw 4. And it's like, I went in expecting to hate it. I was like, that wasn't bad. And then I loved 5, and I really like 6 and 7. Now they're going into 8. Look, I like them for what they are, but they are what they are, Vin. And as far as the whole thing about F. Gary Gray, whenever you get into these discussions about so-and-so should have been nominated for this, I think the first thing you got to do is take a breath and then go, okay, well, look at who did get nominated. Who do you bump? And when you look at the Best Director nominations, like whether it was George Miller for, do you bump George Miller for Mad Max Fury Road? Out of that, I don't think. Did you bump Adam McKay for The Big Short? Right. I don't think so. Do you bump Alejandro Inarritu for The Revenant? You don't bump him out. So I get where he's coming from because F. Gary Gray did a great job with Straight Outta Compton. Yeah, but it was a tough year for the directing nominations, and I don't know, maybe song?
Wouldn't you love to see those billboards, though, like for your consideration, with like the car and the whole cast?
I would love it. Yeah. I don't know. What do you think, Dennis?
I like F. Gary Gray a lot. I like Straight Outta Compton a lot. But no way in hell are they going to nominate this thing. As far as his, Riley sent us some side notes and said that Vin Diesel talked about his character being conflicted. He's coming off a lot of emotion from 7 and a loss that 7 represents. And then that got me a little worried because the way that 7 ends with Paul Walker, I think, was a very perfect fitting way for it to end.
It was awesome.
I don't want them to bring that back into the storyline and make it like Paul Walker's character died.
No, they said they're trying to have him come back and do scenes. Remember, they said his brother's coming
Then
to do
what,
more.
what kind of loss is he
don't know.
talking
Vin
about?
Diesel is always conflicted by the loss of gasoline, Dennis.
Okay.
You lose gasoline
Yeah.
so fast in these cars, and he likes family too.
A blow
Yeah,
up
so
cap.
so I just hope they don't go down that route where they even mention his character. If they mention him in passing, just saying, "Oh, he's doing fine somewhere on vacation with his family," that's okay. But if they try to tie it into the storyline, that's what I'm worried about.
You know, I think they might do, and this might be the way they go with it, and I'd be okay with it personally, because when you understand how close the Vin's and Paul's characters were, and he is married to Vin's sister and is the father of Vin's, I can't remember if it was a niece or a nephew, but basically, when you understand that connection, it would make sense, and I could see them doing this, where at some point, Vin's having a very difficult time, or he just faced a big loss or something like that, and he just needed to talk to his sister for a minute. And they have a short scene where where his sister, and I can't remember the actress who plays his sister, just gives him some reassuring words, and you have like Paul Walker's brother, like little bit blurred
In the background,
playing with
Yeah.
the kid. I could see them doing that, and that would actually not feel forced to me, and I think I might be okay with that. But if they flat out have Paul Walker brothers stand-in body double
With
come
his
in
head
for a
over.
7-minute
Yeah.
action scene to save the day, that would be pushing it a bit, I think. But we'll see how they decide to handle that. All right, guys, listen, we do this show live, and we'd like to keep a little bit of time at the end of the show to take some of your live Twitter questions. How do you get a question on? It's simple. Make sure you get on Twitter and follow us at Collider Video and just start firing in some questions. Wendy Lee is here. She's going to be picking some of those questions out. They're going to read at the end of the show. Also, I want to remind you that Movie Talk is not the only show on Collider Video today. A little bit later at 5 p.m., we got Jedi Council with these two guys. They're going to be on a little bit later today. Keep your eye open for that. And also tomorrow, it's finally here. The finals. This big movie trivia Schmodown tournament we've been having. 8 competitors entered, 6 matches through. We've come down to the final match between Mark Ellis and John the Outlaw Roca. Check this out.
I want all the belts. I want all the records.
Roca, he knows when it gets down to the 5th round, he's going to choke.
Ellis has beaten some cupcakes, and I beat powerhouses to get to the title. So I'm confident that whatever's going to happen, I'm going to knock him out before we get to the 5th round.
He had a trick, he played it to its maximum potential, and now it's done. So Rooster Cogburn, I hope he has a nice retirement. I hope he rides off into the sunset with Lonesome Dove because the Schmodown's done for him.
Once again, keep your eyes open. That airs tomorrow on Collider Video. I'm looking for how you feeling about it.
I'm feeling great. I'm feeling great about the Outlaws' last days here on the Schmodown. You had a great run, kid. Now you're going to be off in the pasture with Logan and Professor X and everybody else who's past their prime. I'm going to take the belt.
All right, guys, well, this is that part of the show now for Mailbag. Look, if you've got a topic or a question you'd like us to address on this show or on Mailbag on Saturdays and Sundays, just email a question into us. You can simply email us at collidervideo@gmail.com. We take a couple questions every day. So, Natasha, what do we got?
Jonathan M. writes, "Hi, Collider crew. You're my #1 source of movie news. Movie Talk is one of the highlights of my day. I have a question for you. Am I crazy for thinking the Batman movie is going to be an Oscar contender? Every one of Ben Affleck's directorial efforts have been incredible storytelling. Thank you for taking my question. Keep up the great work."
Okay, now look, this is not as ridiculous of a question as you might think. The notion, hey, could comic book movie X be a Best Picture contender? Usually the answer is, come on, let's not get ahead of ourselves. But let's look at who's directing this film. It's Ben Affleck. Let's look at the 3 films he's directed so far. Gone Baby Gone, The Town, and the Academy Best Picture Award winning The Argo. This guy has done nothing. He squats over and craps out great movies. That's what he does. He is one of the, simply, I know it's weird to think, the 5 years ago you is going to hear this statement and think this is weird, but Ben Affleck today is one of the best filmmakers working in the business today. He is batting 1,000. So the notion that, hey, could comic book movie X be like an Oscar contending film suddenly ain't so ridiculous when you realize who's directing it. Because remember, The Dark Knight got seriously close. Look, The Dark Knight by
robbed.
Christopher Nolan I don't think it got
Really?
robbed, but it came out in the final year that the Oscars limited the Best Picture nominations to just 5 pictures. Had The Dark Knight come out the following year, where they had like 8, 9, and 10 nominees, guaranteed The Dark Knight would have gotten a Best Picture nomination, directed by one of the best directors in the business, Christopher Nolan. I think we could be looking at the same type of scenario for no other reason than the filmmaker behind it. So I don't know. Dennis, you hear about this. Is it ridiculous, or is there some merit to this?
I mean, it's not ridiculous, but I mean, it's highly unlikely. I
Sure.
mean, Kristian was talking about fast movies and just the reputation. So even if you were talking about fast movies being of Oscar nomination quality, and the same thing with Batman, let's say it is Oscar worthy. It's just the Academy itself they're highly unlikely to vote for it. I mean, I don't think no superhero movie has ever been nominated for an Oscar before.
What do you think?
It's a long shot, because the problem is there's a couple problems. I mean, obviously, one, it doesn't. A lot of times, genre movies just have a very hard time getting nominated. Like Lord of the Rings is one that sticks. You think of right away that gets my memory thinking about it. But as far as what you have with the comic book movies, The Dark Knight was also at a time when I do think it got robbed. I thought it should have been nominated that year. I thought it was a brilliant film, but I think that it was also when the MCU wasn't a thing. Comic book movies weren't everywhere, and I'm sure there's Academy voters that are just like, another comic book movie, great. Wait until the actual season starts in September. They don't even. Some of them probably just disregard it altogether. So because now the Batman is part of all of that with the DC cinematic universe, it's going to be a little harder, even if it is great. But you're also right where it's Ben Affleck, who has a lot of cred now from the things that he's done. But he, to me, got screwed when he wasn't even nominated for his movie, which won the damn thing. So there's a thing with him also, but I think it's a tough battle. It's not impossible, but it's going to be hard.
What do you think, Mark?
If Fast 8 comes out in the same year,
That's true.
no chance.
That's true.
No chance for the Batman. Here's what's interesting. We just saw a trailer for a movie that didn't really look like a comic book movie, even though it is, and that's Logan. That looks like, if you saw that and you didn't know it was tied to the X-Men universe, you would say that could be a contender for something at the Oscars. Batman might come out in October of 2018, which is what we were speculating a few days ago here. That's prime time Oscar release date material, so they might be positioning it that for there. I do agree with Kristian, though. Now that it's tied to a larger DC universe, it's going to be harder. It's a bigger mountain to climb, but the fact that it might be coming out in October, it's got the Ben Affleck pedigree, it's got a legitimate shot. Eventually you will see a superhero movie nominated for Best Picture. It might be the Batman.
Yeah, I'm going to go against common thinking here and say this. I think the Academy is desperate to nominate a comic book film.
Really?
I think they have been
Sure.
doing so many things to try to make the Oscars more relevant and more in tune. I honestly think there's a lot of Academy voters who want desperately for a comic book movie to come along that legitimately deserves a Best Picture nomination, so they can do it and say, look, everybody, we're more in tune, we're more relevant. But I don't think they'll do it. Like, for instance, there's no movie this year. I thought maybe Captain America Civil War might have had an outside shot for a while if there were like 9 or 10 nominees. But now that I see the powerhouse lineup that's coming out in the next few months, that's a really, really far outside shot. I don't think that's going to happen. But I do believe there's a lot of Oscar voters that are dying to nominate a comic book film when the right one comes along. And maybe the Batman will be the one, but I do agree with all of you. It's a long shot. Still a long shot. All right, what's next?
King of Wakanda writes, "Hey Collider, hope you guys are having an amazing week. The other day, John Campea mentioned that a funny scene in the Keeping Up with the Joneses trailer was not even in the movie, and that got me thinking, what are some instances where a scene you were looking forward to from a trailer was not even in the movie? Some examples for me were Kylo Ren walking into the forest and igniting his lightsaber in the first Force Awakens trailer, Harley Quinn cocking her baseball bat like a gun in the Suicide Squad Comic-Con trailer, and Ultron walking up and saying, 'There are no strings on me' in the first Age of Ultron trailer."
Yeah, one of the most frustrating things for me about trailers are scenes in trailers that don't show up in the movies. And look, we understand why it happens. A lot of times these trailers are cut together long before the final edit of the film is done. And sometimes they cut something together and something gets cut out of the movie, and that happens. One of the big examples to me was, if we want to stick in the comic book movie realm, was I think it was Iron Man 2. Where in the trailer, they show Iron Man and Pepper in the back of the plane that he's about to jump out of to go down onto the conference, right? And he does this great line, like, "You complete me," as he jumps out of the plane, stuff like that. And then that line wasn't in the movie. There's a couple of little moments from that scene that weren't in the movie, and they were highlights in the trailers. So that little thing does kind of bother me a lot. Mark, can you think of anything, like trailers you've seen where there was something great in a trailer and it didn't make its way into the movie?
Yeah, the punch from Jason Bourne.
Oh, yeah.
The punch, man. It got us all talking at the Super Bowl. We're all watching that. We all jumped out of our chairs like, did you see that punch? Bourne is back. And we watched the movie. It's not a spoiler. It has the beginning of the movie. It's just from a different angle, and it's not nearly as impactful. For the life of me, I don't know who's in the editing room and is like, I don't like that punch. Who does that? Who does that? And then the other one is like the Fantastic Four, like the entire trailer.
Oh my gosh!
It's all over the place.
Like half that trailer wasn't in the movie.
Force Awakens, man. Kylo with the hood up, and you throw in the cross saber. The first time we ever saw the cross saber, we were going nuts because that shot of him with the hood over his head. And what is that? Who's he? Who's coming after him? What's happening? It's not even in the movie. He doesn't have the mask on. None of that stuff. So that to me was like, well, I wonder if that was just shot to introduce him to the audience.
And that's the cover of the Star Wars, like the art of the Force Awakens is that shot.
For me, I can't remember if it was Kill Bill Volume 1 or Volume 2 trailer. They had Michael J. White in a shot, and he was about to fight Bill. And we didn't really get to see Bill be kind of a badass in the two movies. And so apparently it was a 4-minute fight sequence that Quentin Tarantino didn't feel fit in the movie, so he yanked it out.
All right, guys. Well, I said we would save a little bit of time to take some of your live Twitter questions, and we're going to do that right now. So, Wendy, what have you picked out?
This one comes from Elliot Young. He says, what are your thoughts on Hugh Grant and Brendan Gleeson joining Paddington 2?
Well, first of all, I think these two guys are great. Brendan Gleeson is one of the finest character actors in the business. He just pops up in movies. I mean, the last time I remember him getting almost a legitimate lead role was, what was that, In Bruges he did with Colin Firth, where he's great in that. But you can put him in anything, right? He can be a big badass like he was in Braveheart or Troy, I think it was, like at that big warrior king. And he can play a frail old man if he wants to. He can play a military general like in Edge of Tomorrow. You can put him in anything. Look, Paddington to me was one of those really damn pleasant surprise movies. I thought that movie ended up being way more charming than I thought it had any business being. And when you add talent like this, I think it's great. What do you guys think?
Absolutely great. I honestly didn't even know Paddington 2 was coming out, and I'm more excited to hear that Paddington 2 is coming out. But yeah, Brendan Gleeson, I mean, that guy is awesome. Been a fan since Braveheart. So, and who was the other one that got added? I'm sorry?
Hugh Grant.
Oh, yeah. I mean, those are both guys that, again, going back to what we were saying before, the second movie comes out, like, why? I thought they were cast before Paddington. Should have made sense.
Dennis?
Yeah, Brendan Gleeson, Gangs of New York. I was thinking about his character in there. He also was in The Heart of the Sea, which he was actually in the better part of In the Heart of the Sea.
Horribly forgettable movie.
Yeah, Paddington was one of those ones where I actually hated the trailers. I really despised the trailers, and I ended up watching it, and it was actually quite delightful and quite a surprise.
Yeah, I fell in love with that marmalade slurping dunce. I really did. So they're making Paddington 2. It's great. I like when talent gets added to a movie like this. I wonder if they're going to be acting or it's going to be, because they both have very distinctive voices, so I wonder if we get more bears in this movie or they're going to be live action.
Has Brendan Gleeson been in a movie with his son yet?
That's a great question.
That's the question for Roka.
Nice.
All right, what's next?
Jay Miller says, how can Josh Trank make a comeback? I don't want Fantastic Four to kill his career.
You know what? It's a great question. The Josh Trank stuff, like for those of you who don't recognize the name, Josh Trank came out of nowhere, a very unknown director, came out of nowhere and directed Chronicle, which I thought was wonderful, just fantastic. Because of that, he lands Fantastic Four, and all the drama and all the he said, she said, because there is a lot of he said, she said, and I think there's a whole lot of blame to go around on a lot of different people, but he was right in the middle of that. And he did some things that weren't very smart. Some really uncool things were done to him. How does one rebound from that? And arguably it cost him the Star Wars job. How does one rebound from that? I'm not sure, but I do know this. Hollywood and film fans seem to love a comeback story. I mean, for heaven's sakes, we got Mel Gibson directing a movie that could probably get him a directing nomination and a Best Picture nomination with Hacksaw Ridge. Because every critic I know who's seen Hacksaw Ridge already is just like going bananas for it. And he was like in everybody's mud books for his own damn fault. Hollywood loves a comeback story. The problem is Josh Trank didn't have the notoriety that a Mel Gibson did before running into his problems, whether self-made or not. So it's going to be tough for Josh to make a comeback. Personally, I hope he does. I would like to see another one of his movies. I would like to see him come back with something small again, show the world what he can do again, and I hope it works. I don't know that it will, but I hope it does. Kristian, what do you think?
Well, he's certainly not going to be making any movies with Fox anytime
Yes,
soon.
no, that will not be happening.
That's not going to happen. I don't know if there's ever a comeback for him to do Fox movies, but small movies. I want to see him do like a gangster film.
That'd be cool.
Like just like a small $20 to $40 million gangster film. Somebody who can put something behind him to do something like that. That would be great. But I don't know. Because it's the behind the scenes stuff. Because you can have a hit in Chronicle and then bomb something and still get work.
Yeah, but it was the drama.
It was the drama behind it, and it was like he's got a bad rep right now, and reputation is everything. So you've got to get that one person to give you the shot. I mean, look at someone. Now, this is completely different careers, and someone like Robert Downey Jr., okay, who obviously had a very long established career, and then he got himself into all the problems. But remember, this guy couldn't get any, it was risky to insure him on a film. You don't even look at that now because of who he is, but someone took the shot on him. He got to a place in his career where no one was going to give him opportunities. They didn't want him for Iron Man. They wanted nothing to do with him for Iron Man because it was going to be too much of a risk, and it paid off. Now, again, completely different careers. We're talking about one hit movie from a guy that, as opposed to Robert Downey Jr., who deserved the shot again. We knew the talent. We've seen it time and time again. So I think Trank could get another shot.
Dennis?
Yeah, I'm with you guys. He should do a smaller film, 20, 30, 40 million dollars, and then see if studios want to make money. So if he makes a smaller film and it makes a decent amount of money, he's going to get hired again. But like you guys said, it's the reputation versus we've seen a lot of directors that have like done a string of bad movies that flop yet still get work. So it's not just, he's basically, 1 for 2. So it's not his record or resume right now. It's more of all the reputation stuff.
I think it's as simple as just take a meeting and have the meeting go well. Just because you can take a meeting and it's not like what Mel Gibson went through because that was very public and he said some really stupid things. Josh Trank, there's a lot of reports. There's a lot of behind the scenes stuff. You take a meeting with somebody, you sit down with an executive and they can look you in the eye and basically realize that you're not this mess that some reports have made you out to be, that you have a great vision for a story you want to tell. That's where you start to rebound. I think he can do that.
The key is going to be, can he get those meetings? And I hope he
think
can.
so, yeah.
All right, what else we got?
Marvel DC News tweets, with Xavier's mind and powers becoming more unstable, over or under 60% that the chance Logan will have to kill Charles.
Oh, man.
I hadn't even considered that. There is that one very, very interesting shot in the trailer where it's clearly Charles from behind in a chair with two guys with guns. You see guns point at him, but it looks like the entire room starts shaking. Charles's abilities have not traditionally been telekinetic in nature, but I couldn't help but wonder, he's more telekinesis and stuff like, or he doesn't move things with his mind, he just has mind powers. Could he be losing control of his powers? Could he be bringing down the house? I had not considered that. In an ultimate tragedy, could Logan be forced to put down Professor X? I had not even considered that. I think it's damn intriguing. Dennis, what do you think?
I think it's a high percentage of either him getting put down by Logan or him self-sacrificing for Logan and the girl.
Right. Mark?
I think everybody rides off into the sunset. Like the end of Last Crusade. Just happy ending.
No, I mean, I get that we're getting an independent film. Please don't have Logan kill Professor X, even if he's putting him out of his misery like an old dog. I don't want to see it. I like that idea better, that he's kind of self-sacrificing himself.
Remember, Logan had to do that before in another X-Men movie when he had to kill Jean.
Yeah, it didn't work out too well in that movie. It smells like farce.
Yes, I know, but I think the movie had smelled like farce before it got to that scene.
You know what song they're going to play when he puts him down? Rubber ducky, you're
the one. That would be great. What a tragedy.
Bath time's fun.
You always be my Bert.
2 more questions.
All right, Tyler Brent says, any big plans for the 300,000 subscribers milestone?
Yeah, do this.
I'm going to dance party.
You need to stop that right now. I hadn't thought about it. Honestly, I hadn't thought about it. I don't know.
I don't think so. We just had our 200
million views.
200 million
I think
views.
Probably for subscriber landmark, probably the next one's like 500,000.
500,000.
Maybe when we hit that, we will.
It's going right up my nose either way, baby. 300,000.
All right, last question of the day.
All right, this is also a behind-the-scenes question. Eric Paulson says, do you guys ever go back and watch old episodes of Movie Talk to compare your thoughts before and after seeing new releases?
Yeah, actually, I kind of do it all the time. Like, especially for movies that I know I just got surprised by, and I'll go back because I'll remember if there was a movie I did not think would be any good, and then every once in a while I'll go back and watch, or the other way around. Like, I see a movie that I thought sucked that I thought for sure was going to be good. One of the movies I remember doing that for was Gangster Squad, because I was so hell-bent sure this is an Oscar contending film. That's what this movie's going to be. And then they got delayed for a year, and I'm just like, no, they're just making it even better. And then I watched it. I might have saw it with you, and it was so
it was
bad.
terrible.
Do you ever do stuff like that?
No, but just because my memory isn't that good. Actually, fans will tweet me and say, "Oh,
Hey,
do you
Charles.
remember?" No, yeah,
True.
They'll tweet me.
Don't self-sacrifice, please.
They'll tweet me and say, "Hey, do you remember you said this or that?" And it's like, "Oh, I did," and like I'll go. Then I'll go back and look, but.
Right.
But I don't remember on my own.
Hey, Dennis, you remember you said you were going to buy me lunch today?
Oh, yeah.
Very clearly, I remember you said
yeah.
you were going to buy me lunch today. Mark.
No, they don't let me have computers or phones around here. That's the brass. I'm not allowed to touch anything.
When do you have time to do that? Is what I want to know. 'Cause I
It's
can't
usually,
find
it's
time
usually
to do
like when I'm laying in bed at night and about
Right.
to go to sleep, I'll look up
it.
something.
Yeah, no.
Yeah? All right. All right, guys, that'll do it for us for this installment of the Movie Talk. Thanks so much for joining us. Listen, don't forget the most important part of our show is not what we have to say, it's what you have to say. Jump into the comments section below and leave your thoughts on all the topics that we discussed here today. I want to thank the guys sitting at the table with me. Over there, Mr. Dennis Zen. Dennis, where can people find you online?
You guys can find me on Twitter at ThinkHero, on Instagram, Dennis.tzng.
Right beside me, Mr. Kristian Harloff.
Well, both Twitter and Instagram, Kristian Harloff, and then today on Collider Jedi Council. Very special announcement on Schmoes tonight. Make sure you check that out. And then Mark Ellis versus Roca tomorrow.
Mark Ellis.
Taking on the Outlaw. Can't wait to defeat him and embarrass him in front of all of his friends. Oh, wait, he doesn't have any of those. But there's going to be people that show up that root against them. Baby Carrots further winning the Ultimate Showdown tomorrow. That's this tomorrow afternoon Collider. I hope I'm there on time.
He doesn't have friends. He has family. Of course, Natasha Martinez. Natasha, where can people find you?
You guys can find me on Twitter and Instagram at NatashaAlexis_ and Outlaw for the win.
Ooh. And Wendy Lee.
I'm not picking a side this time. I work with one and I'm really good friends with the other, so I'm not picking sides. And you can find me on YouTube at the Movie Couple channel and also Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat at the Wendy Lee Zaney.
I like that she said that she works with one and is friends with the other one. She doesn't think you're a friend.
News to me.
And of course, you can follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and on Instagram at simply Sam Witwer and Freddie Prinze Jr. Sucks. Follow me all there. And of course, make sure you subscribe to Collider. Do subscribe to Collider Video, absolutely. Yeah. But make sure you also go and subscribe to Comic Con HQ, where you can find mine and John Schnepp's show, Film HQ, new episodes every Saturday. That'll do it for us, guys. Thanks so much for joining us. Until next time. Bye-bye.
Rubber ducky.
Hey guys, if you like this video, click the thumbs up button. Also, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. It'll help you stay up to date with everything we've got going on here at Collider.